Hi everybody, how are you doing? My name is Amanda Ellis and a very warm welcome to my channel, whether you're new or whether you are returning. This is a huge topic and it's something that I'm not going to be able to cover in its complete entirety in one video, but we're going to have a good stab at least introducing this subject, and it is a very requested topic from many of you. Mostly probably women that are going to be watching this video, but equally men, if you're watching, you're very welcome, because at the end of the day, you may very well live with a woman who is getting older or is premenopausal or is going through menopause. So to understand the whole process and what is going on can help. But yeah, anybody is welcome. But what I would like to try to attempt to do is discuss what I would have liked to have known pre-menopause, wish that I had known, the process that I went through before I hit menopause, what happened to me and what I discovered about myself going through menopause. We're going to look at this from an energetic perspective, a spiritual perspective, a physical perspective. What we're not doing here on this channel is diagnosing. I am not offering you any medical information. I believe that we are all sovereign beings or on our way to being one. And as such, it's about getting to know what your body needs. If you need to seek professional medical advice, of course, do so. But I know that many people who watch me are also very interested in the complementary side of how we take care of our bodies, how we take care of our minds, how we take care of our spirits, the whole holistic paradigm. So I'm going to be approaching it from that perspective. I will just say at the outset, just to get the elephant in the room out of the way, I am not going to be talking in this video about HRT because it's not something that I have experienced. I have not taken it. I chose not to take it. But I'm not going to judge you if you did take it, okay? So I'm not going to be opening up the comments to loads of stuff about HRT, the pros and cons. There are so many videos out there that already do that. And indeed, I think why I'm coming on to do this video is because I'm not hearing many voices out there actually giving women a voice who want to approach what is a natural stage of our lives from a more holistic perspective, okay? So we're not going to be talking HRT. It's not something I've taken, but we're going to just dive into other things that can help, all right? So where shall we start? Where shall we start, my friends? I think we'll start with what I wish I had known pre-menopause, before hitting menopause. Now, menopause is defined as having gone a whole 12 months without having a menstrual cycle or a period. So you can, of course, have irregular periods before that. You can go 6 months and then have another one, but you wouldn't actually have gone through menopause if that's still going on. So menopause is when you haven't had one for at least 12 months. Then you know you're sort of through it, but equally that's just the definition, because of course our bodies take a lot longer than just 1 year to stabilize from such a big physical change, but also from such a huge energetic and spiritual shift. Indeed, I pulled a card today for us all before I came on air, as it were, and I got this card, and I wasn't surprised to see it. It's the card of Metamorphosis, and that is what happens when our body is changing from a younger version of itself to an older version of itself. We metamorphosize into what I'm actually hearing, the woman we were always destined to be. That doesn't mean, of course, that we're dissing the younger versions of ourselves, that hopefully we're able to maybe create life. You might have had children, create a wonderful job, whatever it is that you've done in your life up to the time that pre-menopause and menopause hits. But definitely it feels as though menopause itself is the other M, which is metamorphosis. and it's about becoming the woman you always were meant to be. So before we get to that, though, let's go back a few steps and talk about premenopause. So what is it that I wish that I had known? Number one, that it was coming. That sounds a very weird thing to say, because over the last couple of years in particular, there has been a huge advance in the amount of information and women talking about menopause online, in books, in magazines, across the media. But certainly 5 years ago, certainly 10 years ago, there really wasn't much. And if you look at our parents and our grandmothers, if you look at our mothers and our grandmothers' generation, there was very little. And indeed, I think back to my own mother, who actually had a hysterectomy. So she went full blown into menopause without any warning, really, as a younger woman in her 40s. When I sort of started to get symptoms myself of premenopause, I thought back in terms of my mother, and I thought, I can't really remember us ever talking about it, ever discussing it. Hand on heart, I never really showed any interest in, I don't remember showing much interest in what might have been going on with her. But I suspect that also was coming from her generation, which was just get on with it, don't talk about it. It's just something, I don't know, it just seemed to be like a veil of silence. If not for our mother's generation, absolutely our grandparents' generation. And that's even if they made it to menopause. Most of them did. But certainly great-grandmothers, although I did have one, my great-grandmother did live to 99. But, you know, the whole life expectancy as well, if we go back a few generations more, often women didn't even reach the age where menopause would be happening or get through it. So there's been a complete revolution with regards to this whole subject. And what I found when I approached premenopause was I got overwhelmed with the amount of information that was out there. I remember going and buying so many different books. I have to say, I didn't read any of them. They're probably still sitting down on my shelf. I had every intention of reading them, but everyone was saying something slightly different, or it was pushing the medical agenda, let's just say that, which for me didn't feel as though that was the route that I wanted to go down. I didn't want to medicalise something that I felt was a natural part of my body. And I'm just going to be very blunt here. I've always had this attitude, and it's not for everybody, okay? So not everyone's going to resonate with this. But I know with the argument for example, HRT, even though I don't really want to get into this, it's the whole thing about, yes, but you're going to have maybe a better quality of life or etc. But I really went into a space where I felt, no, my body wants to just stay as organic as it possibly can. And if I suffer as a consequence of that, or I feel something, I'm going to honour that journey and that process. And even if, for example, it shortens my life, then that is the natural span of my life. My body is operating from a more natural place where I'm not trying to... it's a bit like the aging process, I suppose. I mean, in general, in terms of how we look. And again, I'm not judging anybody here. I wear makeup, I colour my hair, I try to make the best of myself, but I've always been like that. It's not something new that I've suddenly done. I've always been like it. I get that from my mother. She always dresses up, even if she's just going to the supermarket, puts her face on, etc. But I know that my face is aging. I know that my body is aging. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to do a medical procedure to try to bend back the hands of time to make me look 20 years younger. I'm not going to have a scalpel put onto my face, that type of thing. So it goes with that whole energy in terms of, no, I'm going to make do, but that doesn't mean that it has to be a bad thing. Okay. Don't know if I've explained that particularly well, but that's how I felt anyway. So yeah, all of the books, basically, I bought them, I didn't read them, I got completely overwhelmed with them. And I think we're still in pre-menopause here. What happened was because I was feeling overwhelmed, and I was also feeling as though I wanted to really resist the change. I really wanted to resist the change. I didn't want to acknowledge that I was becoming menopausal, basically, because I don't feel like that now, but I did at the time. It was as though that equated with having to accept that I was older, that I was no longer in my 30s, my 40s, etc., or younger. We can often stay stuck at a certain age in our mind. I always quite like the age of about 35. I know I hadn't looked 35 for a long time, but in my mind, there was something about just facing menopause, which was like, I don't want to be identified with these older women, you know, who look a certain way, who behave a certain way. We'll get to that. I'm not one of them, you know. I'm still young. I'm still full of it, all of the rest of it. And of course, that was nonsense, because nobody can fight this transition. You actually have to flow with it. So I wish I hadn't given so much energy to worrying about it, really, and fearing it and trying to resist it. It's a bit like when you hit a certain decade, whether it's your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, your 60s, your 70s, your 80s, whatever. Ideally, what you should be doing is going into that decade and thinking, well, with gratitude, firstly, for what has gone before, but then just trying to embrace the opportunity of what this next phase of life is about, without the baggage of other people's fears or things that they've projected onto it. Because I do feel, particularly my generation, was coming from an age whereby, certainly in the UK, we had, for example, all the mother-in-law jokes, and, you know, the older woman was always represented as a bit of a joke or was completely invisible on screen. That's changing a little bit, but not much, okay? Older women still are less visible on screen, or what they have to say somehow is less worthwhile, whereas actually what they've got to say is far more worthwhile, actually, sometimes, not always, of course, because you've got the life experience behind you. But, you know, I have to say that because this video might be watched years hence, and hopefully things are going to continue to improve for the status of older women to be more represented, more valued and more respected. But that also comes back from hopefully women themselves owning their own power, their own beauty and their own worth as they get older. So I was definitely coming to it from a place of, oh God, you know, this next phase ain't going to be good. I don't want to go there. I don't want to be that. And then, of course, your body comes in and says, well, you're going to be that whether you like it or not. So you have a choice in terms of how you're going to roll with this. So I got there in the end. But what else do I wish that I'd known? That there should be more space given to acknowledge the passing of what was. So with the ending of the monthly cycle, I know many women embrace it and think, thank God, but to me, I mourned it. I missed it. I still do miss it to a degree because of what it stood for in terms of fertility. Many women towards the end of their fertile life have a sudden craving for another baby. I definitely did as well. I desperately wanted a third baby. And was blocked from that. Let's just put it that way. My husband John didn't want another one, so we didn't have another one. But I remember really yearning for that third child. And that was something very physical that often comes over a woman at that time. And it's to do with the sands of time. It's to do with the fact that you know your fertile years are nearly over. So, you know, should we just squeeze one more out, putting it bluntly? But so there's a bit of that going on. So it's saying goodbye to that part of your life, the fertile years. And I think there needs, I'm sure in indigenous cultures and in ancient cultures, there would have been more of a noted rite of passage, a marking in the same way that when women reach puberty, there can be that as well. Ceremonial is really what I'm talking about, whether that's being with other women of the same age in ceremony, or whether it's just something that you do yourself via journaling, via time out, via reflection. Life goes by so quickly, we don't realise it. And it's important just to have moments where we stop, we notice what we've come from, what we've been. We honour the 20-year-old, the 30-year-old, whatever age you were before pre-menopause kicked in. And then you, with love, say goodbye to that, but with gratitude for the years before. I mean, I certainly have a friend who entered menopause in her 30s, so I know it can happen very young as well. But it's still important to honour the phase that you're moving out of before you move into the new one. But I think I was just like digging my heels in terms of not wanting it, basically. I think some of it was societal pressure. I think a lot of it was societal pressure, but I also have to own some of it was just my own insecurity. I couldn't see what Metatron's showing me now is he's showing me, and this is true not just for me, but for many of you, maybe that are going through it now, or you'll resonate with this analogy. It's as though there was this great big brick wall in front of me, and I was trying to peer over it and see what might be the other side. But really, I didn't really want to look. But equally, even if I had peeked over, it was a bit of a barren desert. It was like, what is this? I don't understand this. It was like being a fish out of water. All I have known, all I remember, I mean, obviously you remember your childhood, but femininity, womanhood up to that point has been defined by this monthly cycle that comes as regular as clockwork. And when it starts to dry up and just not be there anymore, it is a very profound part of the transformation process. So, yeah, I wish I hadn't fought it. I wish I hadn't felt as frightened of it as I did. I wish that I hadn't maybe kept it to myself as much. I probably did. But equally, I'm quite insular anyway. But it would probably have helped if I'd talked a little bit more to other women going through it. But there seemed to just be a lot of veil of silence around it. So then we sort of, let me just pull a card for pre-menopause before we go on. And equally, it might just prompt something else to say on it before we get into the menopause stuff. So a card for pre-menopause. So, we know with puberty that there are physical signs when, you go through puberty as a woman. And the interesting thing about it is that it's almost like celebrated. I remember being, I have to get a bit personal here, but just because it's that type of video, I remember being quite a late developer, okay, in terms of the boob department. And also I started my periods about 15, which was really late. And I remember all of my friends, all of the other girls at school, they all had their bras on. They all had their periods. And I remember thinking, actually, my God, am I the only girl that's maybe never going to have it's never going to happen? I remember thinking that very, very strongly and being in absolute turmoil about it in terms of why? Why is nothing happening? Nothing showing? What's going on? Am I some sort of freak? And then, of course, things happen and you think, oh, thank God. But it's almost like, and I remember the first day I had a period, actually. I remember going downstairs, telling my mum, and my dad was there as well. And my mum was so happy for me. And I remember she took me out to Boots, a chemist in the UK, many of you know it. And we went and bought, the sanitary ware, and we bought a lovely little bag to put them in. And I suppose I was made to feel quite special. It was a special thing. And you don't get any of that, with menopause. But why not? Why can we not do that for ourselves? Why? I think it's important that we honour every single stage. That there's no celebration. I mean, didn't feel like it when I was going through it. It didn't feel like there was a celebration. It felt more like a funeral pyre, But we can change that with mindset, but equally maybe building in some things that actually show you that this is actually something which is an achievement, is what I'm hearing. So the truth of the matter is that as we get older, none of us are guaranteed tomorrow. Most of us have got people we know already who have died, and that will escalate as we get older. It's a sad truth, but it's the truth. And, getting older is a privilege that's denied to many, that famous saying, but it's very, very true. So why not celebrate the years that you've had and then look forward to the years that hopefully are the other side of the wall, okay? The other side of this brick wall. And it feels that as a community, as a group of women, as a sisterhood, it's our job to break down that wall for generations to come as well. I've got 2 girls. For my girls, I wouldn't want them to maybe experience how I was feeling a couple of years ago. But anyway, before we get to menopause, the other thing I found was that denial, denial is a very strong emotion. And what denial tends to do is it pushes us into our negative habits. It puts us into a territory whereby we will self-soothe and self-comfort, because denial implies that actually we know ultimately that there's something the other side of the wall that we need to look at, or somewhere we need to go, something we need to do, something we need to embrace, etc. So in denial, we can go deep into our shadow in a toxic way, in terms of, well, I'm going to then compensate because I don't want to look at that. So I'm going to stuff down food, for example, so I don't have to feel it. I don't have to face it. It's not really here. This is a common thing that people do for all sorts of other problems as well, of course. So I remember, probably the 2 years pre-menopause, sitting on the sofa most evenings and overeating after I'd had my main meal. And I put the weight on that I'm now losing, successfully I'd like to add, because this video hopefully ends on a high note, is the result of those years of just sitting there. And even when I was doing it, it was just crisps and chocolate and cakes, all the normal naughty things that we all love. We have to retrain yourself not to love them, really, and love other things. But anyway, even when I was doing it, I was realising it was silly, really, but I still kept doing it. But I wish I hadn't done it in many ways, because if you put weight on pre-menopause, in that pre-menopausal period, you're going to struggle more to get it off after you've gone through menopause. That's the brutal truth of it, okay? So you make it easier for yourself if you can adopt the healthier patterns that you're going to need after menopause, after you've jumped over that wall or smashed through it, if you can start them before. So in your late 40s or in your 40s, don't wait for the signs to start manifesting that you're getting older, that it's on the horizon. Start to look after yourself then. I mean, obviously, in your 20s and 30s as well, it should be happening. But I'm just being honest, I wasn't particularly looking after myself diet-wise in my between the ages of 45 and 50 in particular. And if I had done, I think I would have sailed through menopause a little bit easier than I did. One of you, it might have been one of you that I was discussing this with in Birmingham, I really can't remember, or maybe it was a friend, but I remember saying that to somebody. I think it was one of you. You're probably watching this video. And I think you said something along the lines of, yeah, but you were in pre-menopause, that's why you put the weight on. Let that guilt go. I do get that, because obviously hormone levels can do all sorts of things to our weight, and we will come to weight a bit in this video a bit later, because I do think we can control that anyway, to a degree, unless you've got something other wrong. But I want to say this, and this is triggering to many people, but I think that was an excuse. I think we can use menopause as an excuse to just keep putting on the weight, to just accepting our fate, to just seeing ourselves as this sort of stodgy, it's all over It's like, oh, I'm just counting the years now till, I meet my maker type energy. I think there is a bit of that out there. I think we can become, it's like a victim type energy. It's like, oh, well, I'm in menopause now, so of course I'm going to be overweight. Of course I don't have any energy. Of course I can't do this, I can't do that. Now, hear me out, guys. There are certain things I can't do as well post having gone through menopause, and there are some things I've stopped doing. In particular, driving long distances on motorways, because that's one of the things that brings my anxiety out. But I'm hopeful that one day I will be able to do that again. But so I'm not judging anybody here, okay? We're all trying to learn from each other. I'm just sharing what I felt to be true. I really felt this mass collective consciousness energy that was out there, which is like, well, you're that age now, you're going to be overweight, you're going to be this, you're going to be that. And to that, my like ballsy warrior-esque energy came out, and I thought, that just feels like bullshit. It doesn't have to be that way. I'm sure it doesn't have to be that way. Now, it took me quite a long time to get to a place and an awareness and awakening in terms of how to get myself out of that rut. It didn't happen overnight. But I'm going to share with you some of the things in this second half of this video that helped me, okay? Whilst acknowledging that I was in that place. I was seeing myself getting heavier, less and less fit, more and more, aches and pains. And to be honest, it just felt like a bit of a downward slide, as though, well, this is the way it's going to be now. It's just going to get worse from here. And I think you almost have to get to that place where you stop yourself in the tracks and thinks, hell no. I don't know what age you are. I'm 50. How old am I? I don't even know how old I am. I'm timeless, Metatron is saying. Oh, thank you. What a beautiful thing to say. It's lovely, though. You are timeless. He's saying I'm timeless. He's saying you're timeless. Imagine if we saw ourselves like that we are timeless beings. I mean, we are. We're timeless, eternal beings. But we're in a physical body, and the physical body goes through changes. And it's as though, Metatron's reminding me that the soul inside myself, the soul inside you, the higher self, that wasn't bothered by these things that were manifesting. It knew it was going to be fine. It was going to sail through it with some assistance and some support and some help and some changes. But we are timeless. We are timeless. I think I'm 57. I was born in 1967. I can't even think what age I am. Anyway, I'm in channeling mode, so I don't want to go back into that whole right brain or left brain thing. We are timeless beings. Right, where was I? Metatron's thrown me here. Okay, let's get into then what helped. What helped? Anything to say before we move on, though? Pre-menopause. I will just say that I think those of us that have daughters in particular, or daughters-in-law, that's quite a interesting journey as well, because as you get older and your body starts to look older, which is a fact, there's no denying that. If your girls will be reaching their bloom, at about the time that you're starting to wilt. That is the truth of it. It's like the rose, they are like the beautiful bud that is just so fragrant and so beautiful. And you are the petals are definitely starting to wilt, but there's beauty in both parts of the rose. There's beauty in the bud, and there's beauty in the rose that's starting to get a little bit dry and faded and needing some extra, nutrients to support its growth. And indeed, actually, if we take it to the nth degree after we've died, think about the rose. Dried rose petals that fall to the ground make the most beautiful perfume. Okay, so the rose and the scent of the rose can stay for a long time. All stages of the rose and the bloom are beautiful. And what helped me was I mean, I do know women, I'm not one of these women, but I do know older women who get very jealous of their daughters as they get older, and try to compete with them. I can think of somebody in the news, the media at the moment in particular, who I'm thinking of. I won't name her because she's probably struggling with menopause, as many people are, but she's trying to compete with this daughter who's a model now. And the daughter is just stunningly beautiful, as is the mother, but it's a different type of beauty. Don't try and compete with your daughters. Also, some older women can be jealous. There's like a jealousy. It's very toxic. I don't really know where that comes from, because for me, I was very aware of just, and I still am, just pride in the beauty of the blooms that I managed to birth, because they are a representation of me. And I always had this phrase in my head, which was, and still is, enjoy your moment in the sun. Because as women, we've all had that moment in the sun. When we were younger, we were more youthful, the skin was a bit firmer, whatever was going on, a bit more vav room. We had that moment in the sun. It's beautiful, but you can still have beautiful moments in the sunset, okay? And the sunset can go on for a long period of time. And if you think about, the sunrise, the beauty of the colour that comes with the sunrise, which is young, youth, but equally there's beautiful colours that come with the mellowness of sunset. And we must always see ourselves as beautiful and powerful in the same way, well, actually, I was going to say in the same way as we did when we were younger. And this is the irony of it, is it not? That most women, hopefully not all of you watching me, but I suspect a high portion of you, I was certainly like this. I never appreciated that I was as beautiful as I was when I was younger. And I don't say that with a big head. I just say that from a place I look back at photographs of myself as a younger woman. There's one in particular when I was I was interrailing. I was about 19, 20. I was interrailing around Europe with my friend. I was standing in a bikini. I remember having a photograph taken. And I remember the photograph being taken, and I remember thinking, oh my God, my stomach's looking a bit podgy, my thighs are this, my thighs are whatever was going on. I was stunning, absolutely stunning. You don't recognise it at the time. And I've always had this thing now where I clocked that, I didn't appreciate it. So now, when you're 56, when you're 46, when you're 66, whether you're 76, whether you're 86, try to appreciate that what you are now, it sounds a bit silly really, but it's like you're going to look, hopefully you're still going to look okay in 10 years, but own where you are now. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? So it's like now I look in the mirror and I see a 57-year-old woman, I think I am. Why am I finding it so hard to understand my age? Metatron says it's because I'm timeless. Anyway, the point is I look in the mirror and I think, you look fine for your age, and in 10 years, you're not going to look like that. So appreciate that you look like that now, yeah? Appreciate what you've got. Appreciate the age you're at is what I'm really trying to say, okay? And honour beauty in other women, okay? So honour the woman you were. Send love to her, send appreciation to her, because you probably didn't when you were younger because you were too worried about the size of your backside or a bit of cellulite here or whatever was going on. Send appreciation to her, because remember, time is not linear. She still needs to hear your validation that actually you like yourself, that you were beautiful. And remember, beauty isn't about having big lips or whatever you define it as. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. We're all beautiful in God's eyes. And as we have an aspect of God within ourselves, we should be able to see the beauty in ourselves and see the beauty in our sisters, okay? In other women as well. There's always something beautiful in women. Do you know the lady, Katie Piper in the UK? She was the victim of a horrendous acid attack in, 20 years ago, maybe less than that. And she's now quite high profile. She's often on television giving interviews. She's continuously having skin grafts on her face and things. And you can see that her face is, very marked and scarred by the burn. She's so beautiful. She's so beautiful. And it's because, it's because she is. I can see that. So, and hopefully she can see that. I think she can, because she gives off this energy of owning who she is, a strong, powerful woman. who makes the most of what she's got. And we should all be like that, basically, okay? We've all got things about ourselves that we don't like, that we wish we hadn't got this or that. You've got what God gave you, basically. And then if something has happened to you as a result of something horrific, like in the case of Katie, she's still making the most of what God gave her. God bless her. I think she's absolutely an inspiration. So also look to the women, Metatron's saying, who are older, who look stunning. You know, I mean, I'm talking much older ladies. Well, all women, of course, but, you know, I'm going to women in their 70s or 80s, etc. You know, make sure that you tell them that they look great. You look great. It's all part of the sisterhood, isn't it? Okay, right. Let me pull another card. Oh, okay. Well, we've got this on the bottom of the deck. Womb healing. Right. Womb healing. Card number 16. This is from the Creation Codes deck. I'll put the link below. Micah Blaze and Stacey L. Tucker. Hi, you two, if you're watching. Womb healing. It's a really good deck, actually, for this purpose. Okay, I'm going to show you what there is. We've got womb healing, we've got magnetic, and then we've got the acknowledgement that many of us maybe might have been mothers or are mothers. So giving thanks to what our wombs magnetized in, including those babies that never maybe went to full term, including those pregnancies that never went full term. I'm talking about miscarriages, and I know I have women that follow me that have tried to have children and haven't been able to, but your womb still attracted a frequency in to be in that space, whether it was for days, weeks or months. I've said that before and I've always honoured that because I think it's very true. And having had a miscarriage myself in between my two girls, it was early on, the miscarriage in the pregnancy. But even so, I know at that time that my womb attracted in the frequency of that child that wished to be within me for a matter of weeks. And it got what it needed from being within me. And I got something from it being within me. And its energy, his energy, has never left me. Okay. So anyway, that's something, just honouring pregnancy, which is a huge thing in itself. But there's something here also about the womb now. Womb healing. So giving thanks to what your womb has either provided, but it's not just pregnancy. So I'm very aware some women can't, have children. So let's think about the womb in addition to that, which is that the womb is this fertile place. It's the cup. It's the cup. It's obviously linked into our sacred vessel, sexuality, intimacy, but it's frequencies. This magnetic, the womb energy. Let me go to Mary Magdalene here. I feel there's a message and I'm not quite getting what it is. Okay, so womb healing. I'm using the Mary Magdalene spray that we make. Okay, Mary Magdalene. Womb healing. What is there to say in this video for women, please, watching? Womb healing. So it's a huge subject in itself, but for the purposes of what we're talking about here, womb healing. Okay, she's saying take it back another generation or two. So far I've just been talking about honour what your womb has been able to provide, maybe children, but she's saying honour your mother's womb, because honour your grandmother's womb, honour the line of wombs that you've come from. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. See the womb as this carrier, this portal for life. And even if you have not given birth to life in this lifetime, it's still a powerful vessel which links you to all of your ancestors. All of the wombs that have been in your family line, and that can also be linked into the traumas within the feminine line, as well as the blessings and the gifts. So it's the whole thing as though at menopause and pre-menopause, the ancestors gather. The ancestors are around you in a very strong way. They're there to help you. They're there to guide you. They're there to support you. They're there to honour you. Yeah, very, very strong. I felt that enormously when I was having wobbles, through the whole journey of the last few years. I felt my grandmother's calling, absolutely, and being with me, both of them. Very different women as well, but I felt them with me, and it was as though, more than anything, they were just saying, it's okay, it's okay. So let's use the ancestral healing spray at this point to just bring in the ancestors and honour them. And I get like this gaggle of ancestors, and it's like they're excited at the advances with regards to this stage of the female life, knowing what was and the complete dearth of information. Almost like a dirty secret is what I'm hearing. It was almost like a dirty secret. It was something that women might talk about, in privacy, but almost like in hushed voices, as though they shouldn't really even be mentioning it. And they are celebrating the voices of women who are just able to now talk and express, like we are here now, this rite of passage, and honouring it. And by us honouring it and by us talking about it and us acknowledging it, the problems, the beauty, all of it, it's as though we're not just honouring ourselves, we're honouring them. We're honouring all of the women that came before, and we're opening this vast, beautiful doorway for our daughters and our daughters' daughters, so that it's easier as well. I'm linking into a timeline here whereby, oh, this is really interesting. Bookmark this, please. Somebody bookmark this. Just timestamp it. Now I feel like a weight of expectation. Oh my God, what am I going to say? No, well, let me just go back into it, guys. Right. We are birthing the divine feminine era, yeah? We all know that. We're in times where we're birthing the divine feminine era. As such, the divine feminine women, us basically, that are on the planet now, are going through very difficult birthing pains at all stages of the journey. So I'm feeling as though this is also hitting puberty. It's as though younger women coming in with maybe more painful periods or more difficult cycles. Also conception becoming more difficult. Yes, there's reasons for that, but again, just go from a higher perspective. There's difficulty in terms of the feminine energy coming into our planet. We know that, the divine feminine template landing. And so therefore, all the stages of womanhood, puberty, conception, birth are becoming a bit more difficult, or not as straightforward as they used to be, maybe. And by birth, I'm not saying that birth has to be difficult. It's more the interference, medical interference. I'm feeling this medical world wanting to come in and over-engineer, complicate matters. I had that with my own first birth with Lucy, 30-hour labour in a hospital ward, being put here, put there, do this, do that, try this, try that. If I'd just been left alone, it would have been half the time. It was managed, over-administered, over-complicated. That's what I mean by the birth side. But now with menopause as well, it's as though these pains and these difficulties, they are very pronounced in this generation. And it's to do with this divine feminine template. It's just difficult planting it and seeding it. So it's impacting all of the stages of womanhood. Generations to come, I'm feeling, are going to have an easier ride of it. It's not going to be so difficult. I was talking, was I not, on social media last week about smear tests, and I won't go back into that, but I was saying I've always had issues with it. I might do this another day. I've always had smear tests, but I've always found them very difficult to have. And I did a video on that, a little video on Instagram and Facebook. And a lot of you were saying in New Zealand and Canada, I believe it is, there's the whole thing with the metal, you know, thing that comes at you, the speculum, and the noise of it and the clamping of it, and just the whole procedure is gruesome, I personally feel. And I've always felt that in the future, no way will this come into New Earth. There'll be another way to detect for what they're trying to find. It's already here. It's already being trialled in New Zealand and Canada. And I remember I said to my daughter, I said, you probably won't ever have to have what I've just had. I didn't obviously go into any of the details about the difficulties I have with it, but that's an example of what I'm saying. It's going to be easier. So that's really interesting. That's coming through the ancestors and it's coming through Mary Magdalene. So honour us as a generation, that it's very heightened. It's as though it's all very heightened. All the stages of the feminine journey are very heightened. So it is what it is, but there are things that we can do to help. Okay. Anything else to say on womb healing before I move on? Womb healing. With regards to menopause. Okay. I know some people do this. I've never actually did this, okay, but I was told about this practice from some of you, that when you menstruate, some women, what they will do is, in ceremony, they will sit on Mother Earth and they allow some of their blood to go into the earth. So it's as though it's a gift to Gaia, okay? That's put in very simplistic terms, but it's something that's done. It honours the flow from woman to female energy, which is Gaia, okay? So in menopause, there's something about just sitting on the earth, but obviously nothing's coming out. There's no blood that comes out, but it's about receiving something from Mother Earth. So what can feel barren, you know, and empty, there's nothing else coming out every cycle. I'm not saying do this every month. It might just be something you can do once. It's part of a ceremony where you just sit and you receive from Mother again. It's as though she hydrates the womb, energetically hydrates the womb, prepares the womb for the next stage of your life. Have I done this? No, I haven't. Is this problematical to do in modern society? Yes. You know, sitting out, you know, without anything on in your garden, you might get some funny looks. But where there's a will, there's a way. I don't know. Go to a field or a pasture or something like that. I really don't know. But that's what I'm being told, okay? But it's something about the earth, grounding. It's not, because I'm going to the sea, and it's not the sea, it's not the waters, it's earth, it's Mother Earth, it's sitting upon her. I suppose you could wear a long skirt, couldn't you? And you just obviously don't have your knickers on and just sit on the earth and you receive the vibration from the earth. And you don't have to sit there for very long. It's an intention. It's an intention. It's another gift back from Gaia to the feminine to give her what she needs for the next stage of her journey, because the womb does not become dry and redundant. Even if you have like a hysterectomy and you don't have a womb anymore, there is still an energetic space where the womb is. The body always recognises that there was a womb. And the womb energetically is your place of creation. So once you're over the wall and you're into menopause, it's like, what are you now going to create? You're not going to create a baby, but you can create many other things. You can create the life that you wish to lead. You can create and become the woman that you're meant to be. Okay, right. Okay, let's get back to some practical things then. And as I say, I'll reiterate, this is not advice that I'm saying everybody has to do. I'm just saying what's worked for me, because part of becoming a wise elder woman is understanding your body. your body, what works for you. What works for you isn't necessarily going to work for me, because we're all different. We're all individual expressions of the divine feminine collective. These are just tips. They're just tips. And as I say, they might not work for you, but some of them are quite general and are probably appropriate for a large number of people anyway. Okay, so this is what I've been doing to get myself back on track. I did say at the start, no, I'm not on HRT, and I won't be. I did take, though, for maybe 2 years, I'm going to show you these. Now, I'm not saying they are the answer. I'm not endorsing these, but I did, and there are very many versions of this type of thing. I took Star Power Menobalance vegan gummies, okay, and I took those for a couple of years. I actually stopped taking them this year, because I went on a no sugar thing, which I'll talk about in a moment, and they have got sucrose in them, I believe, and yeah, sweetener is the first ingredient. And a sorbitol, and I don't like that aspect, so I've stopped taking them. But anyway, it's a bit of a balancing act, isn't it? I personally felt that at the time that everyone was shouting at me, go on HRT, that's what you need, I just felt I needed something. So I took this. Within these, there is, for example, what is in these? Sage, leaf, kelp, and vitamin B6. Vitamin D3, soya, insovalanes, whatever it's called, manganese, copper, folic acid, iodine, chromium, biotin, vitamin B12, vitamin E. It's got a whole load of things in it. But anyway, that was just something that I took. I'm going to take one now, actually. Why not? Let's just do that. I might as well finish off the bottle, because this is my last bottle. I'm not going to be taking any more of them. 2 of those. Go away from the mic so you can't hear me chomping. I took 2 of them. The other thing. What else? I'll come to diet in a moment. The only supplements I take a collagen supplement. There's lots of different ones you can use. I'm not going to endorse a particular brand. It's just a liquid sachet. I take that every day. Take it mainly for my skin, my hair, nails it's good for, but you do lose a lot of collagen as you get older. I've talked endlessly about the wonders of castor oil on knees and anything that aches. I apply that every day, twice a day. I'm newly converted to cider vinegar. Took me a while to get into it. I was a bit stubborn, didn't want to take it because it didn't taste very nice, but it's fine now. I take that on an empty stomach in the morning, 2 teaspoons in a glass of water. But again, you could take more, take less, I don't know. That's just what I'm doing. I've always taken zinc for years. I take a vitamin C, D2, I think it's D2. That's pretty much it. Oh, and acidophilus. So I'm not on a huge amount of things. The only medication I'm on is something for high blood pressure, which is genetic. All my family have it. And yeah, I'm working on getting it down. No, I'm not going to juice celery every day. But anyway, that's my one thing that I do take. Okay. Now, the main thing that has helped me, though, and this is linked into not just weight gain, but also anxiety. One of the things that I definitely experienced with menopause was anxiety kicking in, which is really unpleasant and nobody warns you about either. I wish I'd known that. But again, I feel as though if we look at something like anxiety, menopause is a time, if we think about it, for many women where we may be trying to juggle still bringing up children or having grown up children. And as children grow older, their problems are more complex a lot of the time. It's not just the baby phase that's difficult. You're a mother for life, you're a parent for life. But equally, we might have older parents ourselves. So it's like the sandwich generation. Again, previous generations didn't have that so much. And then add into that, you're also working probably. A lot of us are still working. It's quite a heady mix. So, and we might not be looking after ourselves in terms of our diet or our fitness. You put yourself bottom of the pile. There's not time to exercise. There's not time to eat properly. Yeah. I know. I made all of those excuses myself as well. And ultimately, you get to a place where you think, actually, my body is screaming for attention and needs me to do something to help it, to reduce the anxiety that might be manifesting in any different way, but also to reduce the aches, the pains, the weight gain, or whatever else is going on with you. So to me, managing it all it comes down to the fundamentals. It comes down to the basics. It's literally like it's an age which is about coming back to basics. And that does include diet and fitness. So again, I'll just tell you what I've been doing, but I say this is not an exhaustive list. It's the sort of list, though, that if I had heard a year ago, I would have run to the hills and said, no way am I ever doing that. I would have gone straight into denial again. So I'm just warning you, that might happen when you hear it, but it's once you're in it, it's fine. You just get, it's a mindset thing. You just got to get into it. And you look at the horizon and you think, okay, in a year's time, I want to be feeling better and looking better than I do now. And what's that expression, which is like the change happens when the pain of not doing so is greater than the fear of staying the same, or something like that. That's what it was for me. I have to be absolutely honest. So I was given a kick up the backside. So basically, I watched a lot of Dr. Eric Berg's work. He endorses a keto diet, and I do keto. I call it lazy keto because I'm not measuring anything, or I'm not, put it this way, we are actually going out for a meal tonight. So if there's a piece of chicken with a bit of, breaded escalope or something like that, I'll eat it. It's not like, oh my God, it's wheat, I can't possibly eat that. If I have that once a week, is it going to completely destroy my keto plan? No, because I'm not really trying to get into full ketosis the whole time. It's more just eating a high protein diet with low carbs, very low carbs. My carbs are coming these days from vegetables, but indeed it's only certain types of vegetables. If you look at Eric Berg or an equivalent, he's got all of the information that you could possibly need. I spent many evenings just watching a lot of his videos, taking notes. And one of the things he said that helped me the most was, he said, if you go into a supermarket, pretty much you can ignore the middle aisles. And it's true, because usually the fresh fruit and vegetables are on the outer aisles, and then the middle aisles, it's usually all the processed food. And I'd been eating all of that, the ready-made meals. And again, I was justifying it because I have no time. It was true, I didn't have any time. But what you have to get to a place where you realise, I have to make the time. So something has to give. You have to have better boundaries. You have to learn to say no. You have to realise that you're going to have to do less to get more out of your life, okay? So it's going back to basics in terms of cooking yourself a proper meal in the evening, making, a soup at the start of the week, making a fresh salad in the middle of the day, not relying on the quick fixes that are there. And I'm sure it's true in many countries, but, if you go into a place for coffee, I was in a very well-known shop the other day, went for coffee with somebody, and there was literally, it was with my mum, there was nothing, and I was actually hungry. There was nothing that I could eat. It was all just cakes, biscuits, scones. In fact, because my blood sugar was going a little bit low, I did have a bag of crisps with a cup of tea. But I didn't even want the crisps. I'd have preferred a bag of nuts. So I should have taken some with me. So you need to prepare ahead of time, really. So if you're going out somewhere, make sure you've got some healthy snacks in your bag. Nuts are great, for example, for that. But yes, so basically no processed food, very, very low sugar. I mean, when I say low sugar, I'm not eating sugar, but there might be a little bit of sugar in maybe, for example, a bit of salad dressing or something that I'm using. That's what I mean by lazy keto. I'm not obsessed, reading everything, but I'm not buying the processed foods. I've cut out the cakes, the sweets, the chocolate to a large part. I do still eat dark chocolate. 85% dark chocolate or 70% dark chocolate is okay. No white carbs, no potatoes, no rice, no pasta. I'm not going to say no alcohol, because I do still like a drink occasionally, but it's rare now. I'll have a glass tonight when I go out, but because I don't really drink much anymore, I find it affects me much more. I get giddy much more easily. So pretty much knocking the alcohol on its head. What else? No snacking between meals is a big one. A lot of people these days are into intermittent fasting. Now, one of the reasons I went on keto, I hope this is helpful to people. I'm telling you my stuff just because I'm trying to share what's helped me. I'm not saying you've got to do this. But one of the reasons I went on keto was that I was noticing that I was probably becoming glucose intolerant. I have actually just had a clean bill of health and my glucose levels are fine. I'm not pre-diabetic or anything, but I felt as though I was on a slippery slope to becoming that if I didn't watch myself. I pulled myself back in time. My blood sugars were all over the place and was just really feeling it. Keto's definitely stabilised that out. But intermittent fasting is often a way that people can also regulate blood sugar levels. If it's going to work for you, it might not. You need to check with your doctor if you're on certain tablets or got a certain condition. What do I tend to do? I do eat 3 meals a day. I suppose I have my last meal at ideally 6 o'clock in the evening. Sometimes it's 7, but usually it's 6 o'clock in the evening, and then I have nothing else to eat until either 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock the following day. So that's a good few hours with nothing in your stomach, which is what your body needs to just try to regulate the glucose and also just give your body a rest. So that's what I do anyway. And it's definitely made a difference. Yeah, I've lost about 1.5 stone since the start of the year, so might lose a little bit more, and then I'm pretty much probably where I need to be. But it's really just finding what works for you more than anything, and sticking to it and understanding that it's not a diet; it's actually a lifestyle change. You're changing. Your body has changed, so your lifestyle has to change. You can't expect to be able to sit on the sofa and stuff crisps and cakes like I was doing pre-menopause and not put on weight. It's just ludicrous to even think that we can get away with what we were getting away with. You can't. So it's like, put the big girl pants on and let's just do this. And then once you start to do it and you start to notice the changes in yourself, better energy, feeling fitter, it just spurs you on basically to keep going, okay? But you're doing it for yourself. You're not doing it for anybody else. Also, just to say something, obviously, with regards to exercise, I'm not going to talk very much about that on this particular video. But yes, it goes without saying, of course, it's about moving the body more. And I suppose my guidance would really be try to choose something that you enjoy doing, whether it's walking, swimming, playing golf, tennis, running, I don't know what it is. For me, what I found helpful was to set a goal every day. So I try to do my 10,000 steps each day, and just basically move as much as you can. I have to be honest, at the moment, I haven't started any weight training, weight resistance training. I know that is pretty important to do as you get older as well, to build muscle. But I think it's really important, if I go back to what I was saying about the overwhelm I felt pre-menopause in terms of all the different guidance that's out there, for me what's worked is just to build it step by step, excuse the pun. So work on one area, make a small change somewhere first, and then keep adding to it. So for me, that will probably be the next thing that I will look into. But yeah, moving more, obviously some form of weight training, resistance training is obviously helpful, and because that's going to increase your energy levels. Okay, so the final part of this video, I'd like to just talk about, from a spiritual perspective, this big change that we go through, this metamorphosis, the card that we started with. So becoming an elder, basically, becoming an elder woman, owning that, stepping into that, not fearing that, coming out the other side and claiming that, actually, claiming that. I mean, from my own perspective, just as an example, I feel, I don't know whether to keep this to myself or not because I haven't done it yet, but put it this way. I'm redoing one of my websites, or I will do at some point this year. I haven't even started it yet. But I'm being given a strap line that needs to go on it, and it's grounded feminine wisdom. And I feel as though that strap line of grounded feminine wisdom, which is what I'm aspiring to, what I want to be, what I hope that I already am, but want to step into more, it's also resonant with the age that I am, the wisdom that I have, and the life experience that I have as well. That the nature of when you're younger is to go out and explore and do everything and all of that, and it's like go, go, go. But as you get older, it's still about exploration and adventures, absolutely, but from a more considered, measured place, from a more grounded place, which is that, yeah, I could do that. Do I want to do that? I could go there. Do I want to go there? So the whole thing, again, I keep repeating myself, but I can't stress enough, boundaries and learning to say no so you can say yes to what is right. You become aware that time is more precious, and that you don't want to waste it on stuff that is irrelevant, really, or people that are relevant. There can be a falling away of people that have been in your life up to this point in time, but there also can be new people that join you on your journey for this next adventure. But yes, and from a spiritual perspective, let's just see what wants to come through. Let's go back to Mary Magdalene. The spiritual change, which is menopause. Straight away, as soon as I spray that, my posture just wants to change. And I'm being shown myself and you sitting in circle with a straight back. And there's this energy of being of service, being ready to answer the questions, there's this energy of service, but it's service in a different way. It's service to self, absolutely. What can I do that honours me? What is it that I need? What does my body wish to say? What do I need to learn? What do I need to let go of? What do I need to honour? What space do I need to create for this next phase of my life? How may I serve myself? And then how may I serve you from that considered, grounded, settled place? Yeah. Someone said to me this weekend that it's like a journey of sagehood, and there are phases in our life which are go, 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 create, 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 create. And there are also times of just this need to just go within and be stiller and ground and settle and consider and reflect before you then come back out. But you're coming back out in a different way. You are transformed. It is metamorphosis. We've got the card of portals. We've got the card of sensuality as well on the bottom of the deck. Sensuality. I feel as though Mary's wanting to us as women to know that it doesn't have to all be over in regard to seeing ourselves as a sensual being, an intimate life. There's a portal there that if you choose to go through, you can. I'm very well aware that sometimes as you get older, many people might choose another portal, which might be celibacy, whether that be one that is foisted upon you through a partner's death, or the not being a partner, or being with a partner that celibacy is just part of the equation. But there is another portal which is also to do with celebrating the sexual, sensual life. And neither door is right or wrong. You know, it's up to you. It's as though this energy here feels as though she's calling the shots. She's calling the shots. I will say that this isn't about my mum, but my mum just happens to live in one of these sheltered accommodation places. And, you know, for people who are a bit older. So when I say older, I think you can get one after the age of 50. So I could move in, but no, I'm not about to do that. But anyway, most of them probably are in their 70s and 80s. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what's going on there. Honestly, every time mum comes round, it's like, this person's shacked up with that person. My mum's not like this at all. She hasn't done any of this. But me and Sophie were listening to her yesterday, and it's, well, why should that be? Why should that be something that's even funny? Or why should that be something that's surprising? But yeah, you know, all these 80-year-olds knocking on each other's doors, and they want companionship. But as Mum said yesterday, this one particular bloke there, you know, who's a friend of one of my mother's friends, it's like he wants a bit more. And so it doesn't have to be over. It doesn't have to be over, everybody. It's as though there are always portals to greater intimacy. And actually sometimes the most meaningful sensual moments or intimate moments, maybe they do come when you're older, because you've got that wisdom and you've been able to let go of the egoic mind a lot as well, in terms of worrying about, you know, this and that and what you look like. And it's just a case of maybe embracing what you've still got and using it whilst you still can. So yeah, there's that coming through as well. And she likes the fact that I'm laughing, because she's saying that's exactly right. There should be an element of fun and frivolity and all of that. Yeah. Anything else to say? Anything else? You should be able to still put a smile on your face, or somebody else put a smile on your face. Oh God, we're going off on one on this video. Let's get it back on track. Although it's probably exactly where it's meant to be. It's probably exactly where it's meant to be. Because it's this whole thing, isn't it, about, yeah, I've got the card of health now. You know, if you have a healthy life, you can still have a healthy life in all departments, is really what we're trying to say here. That going over that wall that we were talking about at the beginning, it doesn't have to be a barren landscape. It can be a beautiful place. You can actually find Eden. You know, you can find your own version of Eden, and come back to that. Yeah. I think that's all I'm going to say in this video. I'm sure it's opened up a discussion on lots of other things, but I hope that that's helped for today. Lots of love. Bye-bye for now. See you again soon. Bye.